All right, week 4 college football breakdown here. Good Big Ten battle in East Lansing. Got Minnesota traveling to East Lansing to play Michigan State. The road team, Minnesota, this line has continually moved in the Golden Gophers' direction, seeing them as 3-point road favorites here in this spot, and a pretty low total, as you're going to see in a second, at 51. Right out of the gates, I played this as a best bet. I like this one to go over the 51. Getting into it, Minnesota is a team that you can't really judge this offense off what they did the last 2 years. If you're going to judge this offense by past numbers, look back to 2019. Kirk Soraka was their offensive coordinator in 2019. They had a record year. They won 10 games, top 10 offense in the country. He gets hired away to Penn State. They ultimately go in the gutter offensively the next 2 years. He's back now, and they're putting up even better numbers than they were before. And I know they haven't played anybody, but Tanner Morgan is a fifth-year starter at this point. He's playing as good as he ever has. And the one thing that this Minnesota team has that the 2019 team didn't is possibly a dominant run game. Mohamed Ibrahim already over 450 yards this year, but that's just such a deep room. When Ibrahim went down early last season, when they lost to Ohio State, they had multiple guys step up and fill that running back void in a pretty big way. This could be the deepest and most effective running back room in college football. So this team can win in multiple ways offensively, and I think you have to start looking at them as a top 15, maybe a top 10 offense in this matchup. I kind of looked like a fool for betting Michigan State last week. They had one of the worst pass defenses in the country a year ago. They got torched through the air last week again. Michael Penix threw for 391 yards, just totally had his way with this defense. So not only, Tanner Morgan's at 11.9 yards per attempt this year. You don't think he's going to be able to win this game and hit some shots vertically? Yes, he will. And especially because I believe Minnesota can establish their run game against basically anybody. So I think Minnesota is going to have a pretty efficient day offensively, not only because they're a really good offense, but I think Michigan State has clear holes defensively, specifically in that secondary. And it's so bad, and it hasn't gotten fixed to the point where I feel confident about them stepping up in this matchup. With that said, I do like Michigan State's offense more than most. I like the way Peyton Thorne played last week. The reality of it is Michigan State couldn't establish the run in that matchup against Washington. If a theme from the channel, if you want to take one thing away, you got to be multiple. It's hard to be a one-trick pony and win in this sport. I thought he battled that pretty well. He was also without his number one receiver in Jaden Reed. I would expect him to play in this game. I expect him to play last week, though, so you never know. Either way, I do like Thorne at that position. And even last week, by day's end, Michigan State still threw for 323 yards in that spot. I do think Michigan State's going to be able to establish a run game here, though. I know they lose Kenneth Walker III from a year ago, but I like Jarek Broussard and Jalen Berger. No, they're not going to be able to duplicate the production that they lost from Kenneth Walker, but both those guys are over 5 yards per carry throughout their career. Both are plenty serviceable enough in this matchup. I believe Minnesota's defense is clearly a downgrade from where it was a year ago, but I still think they're being priced according to what they were a year ago. They've played 3 nobodies this year, and I think their offense is going to be good regardless, but I don't think they've really been challenged defensively yet. They played New Mexico State, Western Illinois, Colorado, and we know how bad Colorado is. Legitimately Micah winless this year. So this is Minnesota's first real test for that defense. They lost a lot on their defensive line, lost a lot in their secondary. This is a more manageable matchup for Michigan State than I think people are giving credit for. Say worst case scenario happens and Michigan State is not able to run the football. Say Michigan State gets down early in this game. How would that not help out our over? I think there's so much flexibility with this number at 51. Personally, I think this should be in the mid 50s. I would say 55, 55 and a half. I think people haven't accounted for, kind of the Kirk Soraka bump that is going to be present with this Minnesota offense. I do think their defense is a bit overvalued at this point. Ultimately, what gets this is a 1.5 unit best bet. Minnesota has increased their pace pretty considerably this year, which you might expect going from Mike Sanford to Kirk Soroka. So I did play this over the 51. I feel great about this bet. I mentioned it. There's so much flexibility within this play. I think Minnesota can run on anybody and then certainly should be able to hit some deep shots in this one. But I like Michigan State's offense in this matchup too. So I'm going to play this total over the 51, 1.5 unit best bet. Appreciate y'all watching the video. If you like what you heard today, feel free to leave a like, subscribe, and don't miss any of the upcoming content. Comment your best look on this game down below. Side, total. If you're not a betting guy, just a prediction. Comment your best look on this game down below. You see this shirt right here. I know you've been staring at it the whole time. Go to proud90.com. Unique but very comfortable polos as well. Also got t-shirts, hoodies, quarter zips. Proud 90's got all your golf apparel needs. If you see anything you like at checkout, use code Fordham. It's going to get you 15% off your entire order. Support me. Support Proud 90. Proud90.com.